Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since my last upload. I've been super busy and stressed over moving, but luckily everything worked out, so I'm back. It's already halfway through June, and now is when I'm sharing my June goals and May recap. I'm pretty sure I did the exact same thing in May, but we're here, which is all that really matters at the end of the day. I wasn't able to study as much as I hoped in May. I planned to do a lot of work over the month because I was done with exams and I thought I'd be completely free. And while yes, I technically was, and I had a lot more time than before, I had a lot of work to do with the move, and that stressed me out a lot, and I wasn't really in the right mental state to study. I did participate in the 40-hour 7-day language challenge hosted by Joe Rennie Languages, and that ended up saving my month basically. It's the only reason I got anything done this month, because after the challenge, I was semi-productive in the first half of the next week, but then after that I basically stopped studying. And I'm not really mad at myself because I know that it was a very stressful time, but I do sort of wish that I'd kept at least something up. I do wish that I'd pushed myself a little bit harder. I'm going to do a quick recap of May before moving on to my goals for June. My first goal for May was to finish the book Pour les Vives. I managed to finish this book within the first week of the challenge. It was not only shorter but also much easier to read, and I didn't have to look up as many words as I did with the previous book. I also decided to take a more extensive approach to reading this book, and I didn't look up a lot of the words that I didn't know unless they were crucial to the story, or I saw them a lot and I was really interested. And that helped a lot in keeping me motivated to keep reading because it made the whole process a lot quicker and a lot more enjoyable. It was also just a very interesting book in general. I do highly recommend it. It's basically a recount of a woman who grew up in the West Bank, which is a region that's mostly occupied by Palestinians, and she grew up in a very religious family who followed a lot of cultural norms such as femicide. And when she falls pregnant, her family basically tries to kill her for her family's honour. And she tells her story much later about how she grew up, how that traumatising event happened, and her life afterwards as well. It's really well written and quite short, so I do recommend that you give it a read if you would like to. My second goal was to get halfway through Numéro 2. I don't actually remember exactly where I was at the beginning of the month, because now it's more than halfway through June, and I'm almost done with the book. But I definitely didn't reach 117 pages, which is halfway. And I don't even really know why, because now that I've started to properly read it, it's actually a really, really good book. Like sometimes I just end up like blocking myself from doing things. It's more that I don't want to start doing the thing, even though I know that it'll probably be enjoyable or beneficial or productive. I just can't bring myself to start, and that's what happened with this book, because I really didn't read it much after the challenge, even though now that I'm reading it, I really enjoy it. My next goal was to do 20 dictations, and I got 10 done, and the majority of them were done during the language challenge. I increased my goal because I thought that in the rest of the month I was going to be just as productive, or at least half as productive as I was during the first week, and that was not true. And my next goal was to read 40 news articles. Again, a very ambitious goal because I had already done 21 during the first week, and I only read one more afterwards. I also plan to watch 8 documentaries and write 8 summaries, and I only managed to do 4 for each. I didn't manage to write any sort of longer piece of writing in French, just because I don't like writing. Like I've said before, I really don't find it very enjoyable, and it's like one of the first things that I'm not going to do. Like, I was surprised that I didn't manage to read the news articles or do the dictations, but I'm not surprised that I wasn't able to write, because I do not like writing. I did manage to journal daily though, which I've been doing since the beginning of the year, so that was pretty easy to just keep in my routine. I was starting to sort of forget near the end of the month because of just everything that was going on. My last goal was to use my textbooks, so I used them a lot during the challenge just to fill out time. And afterwards I still kept up at a decent pace. Like I still got a couple of things done, but yeah, I still need to step that up. For Japanese, I didn't manage to do much for after the end of the challenge. I thought I was going to finish Hoshi no Oji-sama, but reading Japanese is still quite difficult and I didn't really feel like it, basically. I've now learned to accept it's just a valid response to not wanting to do something. I wanted to journal once, which I did during the first week again, and I accurately guessed that I wouldn't manage to do another one, but at least I achieved my goal. The Tobira exercises, I got some done during the first week again. I didn't really touch it again afterwards. I wanted to translate 8 songs and I got 3 done, and I wanted to transcribe 8 songs and I got 4 done. I don't really see that as a failure because, again, translating and transcribing songs always takes longer than I think, and a lot more like mental effort than I think as well. So I'm glad that I even managed to get 3 and 4 done. My goals for June are a lot more relaxed because, like I said for the millionth time, it's halfway through June and I basically haven't really been up to much, just sort of getting used to my new flat, and so I don't want to push myself too hard. Like in May, I definitely had a problem where my expectations were not really matching up to reality. I was definitely overly optimistic, and I'm trying not to do that this month, so I'm going to aim very low, and if I manage to do more then that's great, but if I manage to just reach my goals, that's even better, because I didn't reach a lot of them in May and I don't think I did in April either, so it would be nice to have a month where I actually managed to complete like at least half of my goals. So for French, I have the goal of doing 10 dictations. It's really not that difficult to do. That's how many I did last month in the first week as well. So I'm coming to the end of the B2 dictations on the site, and soon I'll have to change it to C1. And I'm kind of excited, but it's also going to be a lot more difficult, so it's going to take a lot more time, which is kind of annoying. But we'll deal with that when we get to it. My next goal is to finish the book Numéro 2, and I definitely think I'm going to because it's very interesting and I'm getting very close to finishing it right now. It's also fairly easy and I haven't had to look up many words from it. I haven't been noting down the new vocabulary I'm learning, but I might start to do that at the end of this month. I also want to journal daily, which is something I've always been doing. I want to watch 2 documentaries and write 2 summaries. I'm taking this down a notch because it is quite an intensive thing to do, but it was very helpful for me in expanding my vocabulary when it comes to more like serious topics, more like political or medical or scientific topics. And it was also great for exercising my sort of summary skills, which are always important, but especially for a language. So I just want to do 2 and see if that's possible. And I want to use my textbooks. Again, not with a very clear goal in mind, but I do want to start doing exercises again because they really help. For Japanese, I'm going to try and be a lot more lax. I've completely given up on trying to put a goal on my Japanese reading because my mood just seems to shift with the wind and I can't seem to predict how much I want to read at any given time. So I'll try to read some of Hoshi no Oji-sama and hopefully I manage to go through that. I also want to journal once. This is just my monthly journal in Japanese, and I want to translate and transcribe 4 songs, which again should be fairly easy. It's the amount that I was able to do last month, so hopefully I'll be able to do it again this month. I'm also just now realising that it's almost the end of the quarter, which is very scary. I can't believe the year is going by this quickly, and I'll have to do a recap of all of my quarter 2 goals. And looking at my goals right now, I can see that I'm doing fairly well for most of them, though my goals were a lot more vague this quarter. But for Japanese, I'm definitely sort of falling off a bit. I don't really mind because I'm still not really into Japanese again. My focus is definitely still French, especially as the year is going to progress. That's only going to become even more obvious because the exam is going to come in December. But yeah, I think we'll see in that video how my quarter went. and hopefully I can manage to get quite a lot done this month to sort of round out the goals. And you can see the rest of my goals for this year and for all the quarters in a playlist on my channel, so check that out if you're interested. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.